Welcome to Economic Patches Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another video, and you're watching Untitled Chapter Patty's Haunting. And I am here at the Broadwell Funeral Home. And before we get to the video, please, if you're new, welcome. If you're an original OG, you know what to do. And give this video a thumbs up. And we are going to be interviewing Mike, which is the owner. So, after that, we're going to do a tour, and then tonight we're going to do an investigation, paranormal investigation here. This place is known to be haunted, so, as I said, give it a thumbs up, and I will be back.
Okay, I'm Mike Brill, I own the house. What do you want to ask me questions, or what do you want?
So, a question that I actually had for you, was there documented either by voice, written down, or any type of documented experiences prior to your ownership?
Yes. Voice, we've been told by a lot of people that the house was haunted. My best friend down the street, after we bought the house, the first thing he told me was, he said, "You know you bought a haunted house." And I said, "No, I didn't," because I didn't believe in the paranormal at the time. And he said, "Oh, it's very haunted." The people who lived here and rented the house for almost 20 years, they said that people would always ask them about their daughter being in the attic. They had a little 3-year-old girl at the time, and she said that, you know, Amanda doesn't ever go to the attic. Well, we see her looking out the front window all the time. Other than that, I don't know of any other documented.
So, with that being said, do you believe that was the girl who suffered from MRD that was supposedly locked up there?
Yeah, I don't know what she suffered from. Back in those days, they would, if you had a child that was mentally handicapped or
some sort of
physically
deformity.
handicapped, yeah, anything like that, they were considered, you know,
Dishonor, like it's
yeah,
frowned upon.
And so they would hide them away whenever people came. Well, this was a funeral home, so there was always people here.
Yeah.
In the funeral home, so they kept the kid hidden away, and we believe her name is Rosa or Rosalie. There's been a lot of people that have talked to her that have been here, and hopefully you'll get to talk to her tonight.
That's going to be interesting with the...
So just before you guys got here, he was telling me some stuff that I couldn't even, like, oh my God, like seriously. Mike, tell them about the time where you didn't believe in that stuff and then you finally believed it.
Well, when we bought the house, several people told us that it was haunted. So I didn't believe it. And we had the house for about 4 years before we actually found out that it was haunted. A friend of mine has a restaurant uptown, and she was originally in a building that was built in 1845, and she swore up and down that it was haunted. So one night she called me and she said, "I've got some people up here, you need to come up and meet them." So I went up, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Mike Ring. He's with Creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics on the internet all the time.
I've heard of them, never seen any of their work.
So he was up there, she introduced him to me, and it was just kind of, okay, he is in the paranormal, he's investigating. She had to tell him that I had an old funeral home, and he bugged me to no end to be able to come in here. So it was, I agreed. He showed up with his team. It was really cold and snowy that day, and I figured they would cancel because I didn't have any heat in this house at the time. It was in February of 2019. So we had the house approximately 4 years then. Had a lot of things happen during those 4 years, but anyway, getting back to the story, he came with his team. They spent like 3 hours setting everything up, getting their cameras set up, motion sensors. They had in this room back here, they had a big screen TV set up. I think he had 12 or 16 channel recorder, and so they get everything set up, and they said, "Do you want to go downstairs with us? We're going to the basement." Yeah, I've been down that basement hundreds of times. There's nothing down there. So my wife, she said, "No, I'm just," because I went and got a space heater because it was so cold in here. We had set it up in that room. She said, "No, I'm just going to sit here and watch it on TV." So we went downstairs, and the very first thing that happened was it sounded like somebody threw an empty 5-gallon bucket across the basement. We were in the back of the basement where the embalming room was. And it was up here in this end of the house that they had the bucket. So they looked at me and wanted to know, you know, what was that? And I said, "I don't know. You tell me. You're the ghost people, you know." So they went down to investigate it at this end of the basement, and there's a side room that's underneath this room here, and there's a door that goes in there. That door was open, and they got about 2 to 3 feet from the door, and it just slammed shut. What in the world's going on here? So they came back down there to the other end. They couldn't find anything, and they started talking into the ghost box. And there was all kinds of stuff coming out of that box, and I just couldn't believe everything that I'm hearing coming out of here. A lot of static and all these different voices, and there was men's voices and women's voices. It sounded like little kids, but there was one voice that was very dominant. It was a male, and so he was asking these questions, and he's getting yes and no answers. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy's got buttons on this box that he could push to get a yes answer or no answer. And so finally I leaned over and I said, "Ask him if his name was Christopher," because the house was built by Christopher Broadwell in 1910, and he ran it as a funeral home until 1944. And then it was bought in 44 by Carl Watney. He ran it until I think it was 76, 74, 76, something like that. So for close to 70 years, this was a funeral home. So he asked me, he said, "When you were alive, was your name Christopher?" And a very resounding no. So then he started asking these other questions, if he was associated with the house when he was alive. It was a yes. And were you the undertaker? Yes. Well, if your name wasn't Christopher, what was your name? And right out of the box came Carl. Well, that just floored me, because I did not tell them anything about the history of the house beforehand. So he goes on asking more questions, wanted to know if he knew who currently owned the house. Yes. Is that person present? Yes. Do you know that person's name? Mike. And I'm like, whoa, no way. Then he goes on asking more questions, you know, and talking, and he's got a nice conversation going with this spirit. And he asked him if he said, you know, that Mike and his wife are attempting to renovate this house back to its former glory. Do you have a problem with that? No. Will you let them live here in peace when they get it done? Yes. I'm thinking, hey, all right, you know, this is good. So then he asked, he said, well, do you know Mike's wife? Yes. Is she present in this house? Yes. Do you know her name? Anita. And I was like, there's no way. How's this stuff coming out of this box? So they went on for another 15, 20 minutes down there, and then they said, well, since they were broadcasting on the internet, since our batteries are getting low, we're going to get off here, we're going to go recharge batteries, we'll be back on in about a half hour, 45 minutes. So we came upstairs, and I walked out in that room, and my wife was sitting there, and she looked at me, pointed the finger, and she said, if you think I am moving into this house, you are out of your mind. And that was the last time she has been in this house. She refuses to come in it.
That sounds exactly like her.
I don't blame her.
So, during that investigation, did you guys come across whatever it is that's negative in the basement? Or how did that get stirred about?
No, that wasn't until probably several months later. It wasn't until after I got hooked up with UGPN and Austin Maynard, and Mike's part of the UGPN also. So we were having a lot of different groups come in here, and one group one night said that they had a very evil spirit in the basement. And since then, there's been a lot of people that have talked about the evil spirit that's in the basement. It calls itself either one or the evil one, and hates females.
Do you think it's, like, I don't know how closely you watch over the people that you allow in here. Do you think possibly they used like a Ouija board and opened up a portal that came through, or?
That I don't know. I know
Because
some people gave me an antique Ouija board, and I brought it in here one night. Mike Ring was up here, and I brought it in. I said, "Look what these people gave me," and he said, "Get that out of this house." So it's out there in the back of my car now. But
I was just curious because up until, well, a few months after you had the first people come in,
yeah,
it was peaceful. You know, you had Carl down there, the Undertaker. He was perfectly fine with you guys renovating the house.
right.
And then out of nowhere, there's something that quotes itself being evil.
Well, you know, what's funny is when I think back about things, when we first started renovating the house, we tore everything out, tore it all down to bare 2x4s in here because the plaster was all falling down off the walls. We bought it at the sheriff's auction, sight unseen. Well, you could look through the windows, but that's about it. You couldn't go in. And, you know, instantly you have buyer's remorse once we won the auction and got the key and came in here. It was like, oh my God. You know, plaster's falling off the walls. The electric is shot. The basement was half full of water because there was no electric on in the house, no sump pump. Nobody lived here for 5 years. All the plumbing was totally shot. So I hired a plumber, and he showed up. He told me what all I needed to get, so I went and got all the piping and everything he needed. And he showed up, and he worked a day and a half, and he never came back. He was in the basement for the first day and a half, and he never came back. He wouldn't answer my phone calls, wouldn't answer my texts, anything.
We're having a similar issue, her and I, with buying a house. The family's daughter owns 2 houses. She's having one renovated so she can live there and they can move into her old house. And the house that she's having renovated, the first contractor, he got attacked, or something happened, he had an accident and he couldn't work on it anymore. They hired another guy. It took him a month and a half to do a bathroom, and all that's left to do is the kitchen, and he doesn't want any part of it and won't say why. So he probably will think that they would think he's crazy if he said, you know,
right,
something's going on here.
Well, we've had a lot of activity that I can't explain.
Micah, tell them about the one where the person down in the basement that don't like women.
He just said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the evil one.
Yeah, I mean, physically, women have been in the basement and physically got sick and had to come out of the basement. They'd be out of the basement for just outside for a minute or two, and they were fine.
Yeah.
Go back down in the basement, and they're sick again. So you hear. So far, I haven't heard any tonight, but I can be in here working on the house, and you'll hear little footsteps running up and down the hallway upstairs. I've heard little kids laughing. Be down in the basement, you hear people walking up here, and you know that you're the only one in the house. So, my dog sees things all the time when she's up here.
Go ahead.
Hmm?
So it's very active at night, you say, right?
It is very active at night. It's active during the day also. I mean, I've had things. I was putting insulation up in the kitchen, and I've got an electric staple gun. And you know how the staple guns work, where the staples go into the bottom, and you got the little thing you shove in.
Yeah.
And I hanging the insulation, and, you know, about every third or fourth click, this thing would fly out, the staples would just go all over the floor. So I put more staples in, and then go back and do it again. So I thought, well, I guess this gun's bad. So I had another gun. I went and got that gun and brought it in, started doing it. It started doing the same thing. So I did that 4 or 5 times. I said, well, I'm done putting up insulation for today. Came back 2 or 3 days later, finished the job, not a problem one. Apparently the ghost just did not want me working in here that day. So the electrician, the first day that he worked up here, he's our electrician down at work, so I hired him to wire the house. And came in on Monday morning, and we're sitting there, and he looked at me and he said, you and me need to have a serious talk. I said, about what? He said, about that house.
You okay?
And I said, okay.
You off
He
for
said,
shaking?
that house is haunted. He said, it's bad haunted. So,
You want me to hold it? Okay. So, in all, what do we expect tonight, Mike?
well, I hope it's a very active night. I hope that you have a lot of activity on your REM pod, and that you get pictures of spirits. I've got a lot of pictures at home that people have sent me. And I showed you the one on my phone of the lady sitting in the rocking chair, with holding a baby and 2 little kids and the 2 other men in the picture. I had a guy, I was showing, he had a group here one night, and I was showing that picture. And the man and woman who rented the house for the night, they had been here before. So she was standing there while I was giving the history tour, but he was putting all their stuff up. And I was showing him that picture, and he came walking in with his phone, and he said, that ain't nothing, look what I just took on your stairway. And there was a man standing on the stair, about halfway down the stairs to the basement, just standing there. And have a picture of the Grim Reaper in the basement, in the embalming room. He's standing there, and it looks just like the pictures that you see of the Grim Reaper. But he's got his hands crossed like this, and he's holding a skull in his hand.
Mike's scaring me already.
Should be alright.
So we do.
No, because what he just said, like, if I see one of them actually one day, I'll probably just want to freeze and not move. Like, hey, no disrespect. Oh.
Now that was the sump pump.
Okay. I was gonna ask
Do what?
Outside or in
No,
here?
that was that noise. You just didn't hear the noise.
I did.
That's the sump pump. If you hear that, that's the sump pump.
Okay, yeah, you're telling me that
Yeah.
it has to do with the pipe, yeah.
Like truck hit a pothole outside.
Yeah. Well, it came from back over in that far corner, and that's where the sump pump goes outside. And I've just got it rigged right now until I get the rest of the plumbing done down in the basement. But
Any warning? Anything else you wanted to know?
you're on your own.
Oh, well, thank you. Because I'm planning on doing a 30-minute alone challenge.
If the sun goes down, I don't stay here.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if I want to do a 30-minute alone challenge now.
You challenge me, that's a deal. You're going.
Yeah, I do it. As long as nobody touches me, I'll be alright.
She don't do basements at all. And for her to say she's going to go in this basement, I'm like, I don't think she's going to do it.
We had, the couple that took the pictures of I showed you the picture on the,
Yeah.
when we went to the basement, I told them about the evil one down there. And they said, well, we hope we run into him. We're not afraid of him and stuff.
Yeah.
So the next morning, she sends me this text, before she sent the picture, she sends me this text, and it says, we met the evil one last night, and told us that either we got out of the basement or he would kill us. So I texted her back. I said, well, what did you do? And she said, we're still alive, aren't we? Apparently they got out of the basement. But,
I don't know, I was probably like,
I can try and see if Chris is at home. If he is, he could come up here and he's got a lot of hair-raising stories. Because he comes up here quite a bit just on his own and plays around. He's got a lot of interesting stories. He likes to go in the crawl space downstairs. Not too many people have went in there and come out not feeling violated.
I mean, a guy my size in a crawl space is going to feel violated regardless of if it's activity or just
Well,
because
the crawl
it's a small
space, it's really more than just I mean, you could almost stand up in it. It just doesn't have a concrete floor in it.
Oh, okay.
It's
a dirt floor.
Well, yeah. It's the other half. Only half of this room has a basement. The other half of it is crawl space, but they didn't put a lot of dirt in there. I mean, you can almost stand up in it.
Okay.
This part of it here, the upper part, is where they had the coal bin when they had coal fire furnace in the house. Now it's got 3 250-gallon oil tanks in it because after the coal fire furnace, they went to oil furnace. I've got gas forged there now, so, but I haven't figured out how I'm going to get those tanks out of the basements.
well, he's probably thinking in his head like, good luck, y'all.
You have any questions, Mom?
I pretty much know everything. You already told me everything.
He just pretty much told us.
So we can do a walkthrough tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you don't scare me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I won't scare you. I won't scare you.
You want to walk around with the camera?
He can't
But
promise
the,
you that the other people won't see it.
You walk around with it. Just don't shake too much.
He's probably nervous.
I know, unless you want to hold it.
He's nervous. Would you be nervous in this house?
Yeah.
I feel like little.
Hurry him.
I was up here hanging drywall last night. I was going to clean this up, and I thought, oh, I have plenty of time when I get home from work. And then Austin called me, and he said, they're already there. I'm like, what? I got a message outside. If y'all need to use the bathroom, that bathroom does work. I got my truck and brought it up so people don't be We're all in there now.
You never know, maybe something there.
So where do you want to start? Upstairs, downstairs, basement?
I guess start at the top and work our way down to the bottom.
Okay.
Not me!
Oh, every time.
Want me to go first then?
Too late now.
Go ahead.
Oh no, upstairs. Oh my God, these are a lot of steps.
Yeah. You see how many sheets of drywall are up here?
Yeah.
Try carrying all those sheets up these steps. Because all this is all new.
Come over this way. There you go.
Hey, what's that one for?
That's me on camera.
Oh, okay.
Can you see it? What is it?
Cool. And you got 3 rooms up here?
Yeah, there's 3 bedrooms. This front bedroom, this one has
Right across here.
somewhat,
Huh?
is somewhat active. It's not nearly as active
It
as
is
that
not
one is.
burning.
Okay.
Right here, guys.
When we first bought the house, because where we live, we're on a busy highway, don't have any sidewalks, so at Halloween time, there's never any kids coming for trick or treat. So when we bought this place, it's like, she's like, oh, we got a place we can have trick or treat now. Okay? So she worked nights, and it just seemed like every time there was trick or treat, she was working. So I'd come up here and I'd get dressed in a costume, and I would decorate that entryway downstairs there. That'd make the kids come in to get their candy. So this year, she was off. So she says, I can go do Halloween. I thought, yeah, you can. So she would come up, and I said, what are you going to dress up? I'm not dressing up. I'm not going in the house. We're not doing all that. I'll be on the front porch. I thought, man, the kids always like doing it. Wasn't going to argue with it. So she's out there. She's sitting on the porch getting out candy, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I got to do something. So I had these skeleton things that I bought up at Family Dollar. And everybody says that they see people looking out these windows up here. So I thought, okay, so I bring them up here and I hang one on each side, so it's right there in front of the windows. And I had me some a green and a purple light, and I sat back here and had that little fan going so the skeletons would move a little bit, you know. So I didn't tell her I did that, and I was down back in the house doing something. I heard her talking. I heard her saying, "It's okay, you can come up here. I got the candy up here. Come on, you come up here. I got the candy up here." And so I went and I looked out the door, and here's this little boy and girl. They're, I don't know, probably 8, 9 years old, and they're both standing there at the end of the sidewalk, and they're looking up here, just shaking their heads, like, we're not coming up there. So she had to go out and give them the candy. But when we went home that night, I forgot all about these things. And Mike and Chris, from Creepy Cincinnati Forensics, they came up. And Chris came upstairs and didn't have the lights on. And he walked in here and he walked into one of those skeletons. He thought,
Mike,
what?
that room right there, it's something's up with that room.
That's the one that had the flies.
The flowers.
This is the fly room. And this is the room that stupid light will do the Morse code.
I've had that happen at my place too. One of those lights that you plug in, and when you turn the main lights off, it turns on.
Uh-huh.
I could have my lights on, have it plugged into a power strip, and it is Morse coding SOS repeatedly, just SOS, SOS.
I don't know Morse code, so all I know is that thing would flash. And that's, I had put a new bulb in, put a new fixture in, had wiring checked. Now, sometimes it does it, sometimes it don't. But the night that I was talking about, I don't know whether I told you guys or not, but we were downstairs talking earlier. I came into this room, had a group with me, and I just walked in and I turned the light on like that, and this lady screamed, "Stop!" I said, what? She said, get out of that room. I said, what? Get out of that room. So I backed out. That's when I noticed both of those windows were just covered with flies. And this was in February. It was like 10 or 15 degrees outside. There shouldn't have been any flies flying anywhere.
Yeah.
But they were just millions of them on both those windows. And she said there was pure evil in that room. Get out of it and stay out of it.
I know that all too well. We had a fly infestation in my house, and there was a demonic force that is putting me in sleep paralysis, lifting me out of my bed, all kinds of stuff like that. And I would stick those fly strips up. I'd have at least 30 or 60 every day on a single strip. I have to change them out every day.
Well, the next day, because usually after people have been here, I come up the next day and make sure that everything's picked up and take trash out and all that. And I came upstairs, there wasn't a sign of a fly anywhere in this room. Nowhere. I thought, where in the world did they go? Where did they come from? Where did they go? I don't know. Now, there was 2 people that died in this house. When Carl Watney went out of business, he retired. He couldn't find anybody to buy the house, or couldn't find anybody to buy the business, because there was 2 other funeral homes in town at the time besides him. So he just sold the house. He went out of business. He retired, went out of business, and sold the property. And a man by the name of Woody Waldron and his wife Corrine, they bought the house. He was the lockmaster down on the Ohio River at Melville Dam. Anyway, he died in this room. He was, I think, in the late 80s when he died. And his wife was already in a nursing home. And then after he died, then their son took over the property, and he was an absentee landlord. And he wouldn't fix anything if stuff broke. If it broke, you're going to fix it, or it stayed broke. So the people who rented the house for almost 20 years, he had a really bad heart, and he was on the heart transplant list, and he just didn't make it. He passed away. He was also in this room. So, I mean, there was nothing evil as far as, violent deaths or anything, but there was 2 people that have died in this house. So,
So would this be the room that they would see Rosa out of, or would it be that room over there?
Rosa,
Yeah.
they would see Rosa out of the attic. Above this open here, there is a gable, and that gable has a little window in it.
Okay.
And that's where people would see the little girl looking out the window.
Okay.
And some people were here 2 weeks ago, I think, and they had on their box, they kept picking up a little girl's voice saying, "Help me, help me," and they asked her what her name. Can you give us a name? And she said Rosa, but over and over again she was asking for somebody to help her. So. This room, like I said, is not really that active. In this room, this is the closet where my dog saw whatever she saw and wouldn't quit growling, and it was all I could do to get her away from this door. They have a lot. They put the little, I don't know what you call the little things they put down, the little motion sensor things.
Yeah.
They put those up here. Things goes off constantly. The REM pods go off constantly in this room. I don't know.
So with like the REM pods, to your knowledge, is there any wiring going underneath the floorboards here that would possibly cause them to
No.
malfunction?
No, because all the wiring is in the walls.
Okay.
The only wiring in the ceiling would be what's going to the
Light.
lights, yeah. But all the wiring is all run, and it all goes back down the center hallway and then goes downstairs to the basement, to the box,
Okay.
the panel box, so. This is the bathroom, or it will be the bathroom. It was a bathroom. Just don't move this box.
Okay.
There's a hole in the floor right there where the moron that put the heating in. I told him that I wanted the register over this way, and he put it against that wall right where the bathtub was going to go. So he came back and he cut the hole, and he didn't have the right pipe or something. And he said he was going to come back, and he never come back and fix it. So there's a hole in the floor there. I think at one time this house had a third floor, and we tend to think that the stairs came up this
The whole
way,
way through.
and this was the landing, and it went up to the attic, or to the what's the attic, because once you climb up that ladder right there, that is a huge attic. I mean, you can put a couple rooms up there. So we don't know whether at one time there was rooms up there or not. I just don't know. The things open up there. There's no floor up there. But if you want to go up there, and you can.
Okay.
And then, so that's pretty much what we got going on upstairs here. Turn this light on back here that I don't know why they got that in there. Let me get this so you don't stumble over that in the dark. Now, when this was a funeral home, when Broadwell's had this as a funeral home, this door wasn't here. Well, even when Watney had it, that door wasn't there. That was a solid wall there. The door was over here. There was a doorway that went out into that room from this room. Those walls weren't there when we bought the house. This was all one big open room. Talking to some of the old people in town who remember this as a funeral home, these pocket doors here, they would close these pocket doors. The casket would be set here.
The ghosts would close that door?
Huh?
The ghosts would?
No.
No.
He's,
Back when it was
The
a funeral home.
When it was a funeral home, they would close these doors because this was their living room.
Okay.
That was their hallway. That was their dining room
Okay, I
and their
got you.
kitchen. Over
And
there.
that was the room that they,
This
did
is
the
the room
viewings.
here. This whole room was where the body would be displayed in the casket. People would come in through this door over here. This was like the gathering room. They would come through the doorway here, in here to view the casket. That door was not there either.
wow.
This door right here, we put that in there. And then they went out the back door.
And you said the basement when they did the bombing?
The basement is where they did the embalming. I'll show you back here where they used to bring the caskets up through the floor.
Okay, now look, I'm gonna be quick.
So this whole part of it here was their private living area plus the upstairs.
Okay.
The only part that was actual funeral home was that side room and that big room we were just in. So,
Go ahead.
like I said, this door was not here. We added that door. Because when we bought the house, this was one room here. You can see where the wall used to be, right here. And that was the kitchen from there back. And that was it. So, we decided that we'd make this whole thing the kitchen. So this is all, I mean, this drop's gonna be all the way around. They have LED can lights in it.
And are these the pipes you're talking about that make noises or?
No, it's one in the basement, I'll show you.
Okay.
Alright, you ready to go to the evil basement?
And then, well, I'm gonna show you back here.
Okay, well, I'm following you.
So if you look right here on the floor,
That line going across?
see that line?
Yeah.
Goes down there, goes across, and comes back up over here. There used to be a door here.
Okay, yeah.
There was a door here, and in the ceiling was a block and tackle that they would lower down, and they would put straps on the casket, and they would raise the casket up through the floor here and into that room. That way they didn't have to carry the casket with the body in it up the stairs and around and in.
Yeah.
So they brought it up through the floor here.
Yeah, you can see that used to be a door
Yeah.
there.
So there was a doorway here, which
And
I just expanded it a little
Oh,
bit
okay, okay.
because of my expanding waistline. So, but there used to be a doorway going outside right there, and we took that out.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a doorway that went outside there.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
So we took all that out, and this is going to be the laundry room because the wife says, I don't want to go to the basement and do
This one right here is the exact same
do
one.
laundry because it's damp, and it's damp down there, it's musty. And she said, is there any way we can put it? So I figured, okay, we don't need this whole area as a dining room. So that's why we, and this was long before we ever knew that the house was haunted. That noise you just heard, that's the sump pump. Yeah. So we put this is going to be the laundry room here, and there was one bathroom in the house, and I told her, I said, I'm not going to climb those stairs every time I have to go to the bathroom. So we put a half bath down here. So.
That's, you could just tell that door, that there used to be a door there, right there too.
That's
Yeah.
exactly like you. I want to do laundry down the basement. It's scary.
What room is this?
This was the kitchen.
This one?
From
This
right
was
here,
the kitchen. From
where
right
the
here
foot is.
to right there, from there to right there. That was all the bigger the kitchen was.
Okay. So
Of
you
course,
get
back
tore
in-
down, right?
Yeah. But back in the day, that was a big kitchen.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I see you got some salt.
Everybody sees that. Let me tell you the story behind that. Back in January, we had an ice storm.
Ah.
We had a bad ice storm. So I've got people coming that night, and I've got ice everywhere. So I go up to the local Dollar General up here. No, we don't have any rock salt. So I go down to, no, we don't have it. Go over to Bethel. 3 places, nope, we don't have any. So crap. So I come back, and I thought, wait a minute, salt. So I went, stopped at Dollar General, and they had a whole shelf full of that salt for 29 cents a thing. So I just emptied the shelf, brought it home. Actually, that stuff works better than rock salt.
I know that.
So that's the reason why there's the salt. It isn't the. Are you ready to go to the basement?
Okay, here I come. Go.
I keep this against the door because the old basement door back there doesn't seal real tight. And
Yeah.
when the wind blows really hard, because this
It-
door
yeah.
won't, and I got an alarm system in the house, so I put this up against the door to keep it from blowing open and setting the alarm off, because I hate to get up in the middle of the night and come up here and reset the alarm.
Are you?
So,
Help me.
and at first I thought maybe it was the spirits setting it off, but
I'm not too sure about basement. Sorry, guys. I don't like basements.
it's pretty dry down here. I'm surprised how much rain as we had the past couple of days. Okay, this is the dreaded basement. And that's the door that goes outside.
Oh my God.
This is the embalming room here. You can see
What is that?
somebody's walking upstairs.
Oh my God.
Don't you start doing that. She does that and makes her breakfast too. You stop. Stop.
You caught that, didn't you, Boo?
Oh, hello.
Who is it?
Oh, that's my wife.
Oh!
You can come down.
Okay, thank you.
I'm surprised she came in the house.
Oh man.
This was the embalming room here. And you can see where the walls used to be. And the reason why it was tore out because the basement was flooded and it was nasty. Against this wall here, when we bought the house, and if I had known what we knew now, I never would have tore it out, was the draining table for the body.
Okay.
And it was a big cast iron that took 6 of us to get that thing out of the basement. So, came down here, turned, and there was a big triple cast iron sink here. And right here is where that door is upstairs. So when they were done with the body and was in the casket, they would put straps around the casket. They would lift it up so they didn't have to carry it. That's the crawl space there.
Okay.
There's the infamous 5-gallon bucket, and that's the wooden chair the guy was sitting on. This is the room. There's no lights in here. But as you can see, there's 3 250-gallon oil tanks in there. But I don't have a clue how I'm going to get them out. Huh? You leaving? Yeah. We can stay for a few minutes. All right.
Already. Haven't even started.
Now this is the door that slammed shut. The night that we were all back there, and we were back there, and all of a sudden they got like about where you were standing, and that door just went like that. It just scared the shit out of somebody. So, yeah, just boom like that. So this is the infamous basement. I'll leave it up to you to figure out how haunted it is. All I know is I've had many people say that, and there's people that have come down here and go back upstairs and refuse to come back down here because they feel the presence. I don't feel anything except cold.
I'll go down there with you two, but I will not go down alone.
Felt like my stomach was getting like all upset, like I was
He said that down
vomiting.
there women get physically sick.
Yeah.
Once they step outside for a minute, they're fine.
That shocked the hell out of me that she came in here.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I hear a door creaking, I hear footsteps. Came here to see who.
Yeah, that scared the crap out of me, Mike.
Who was that was running right after the door slammed?
Huh?
Wait, neither of you two went running whenever the door slammed?
No,
From down there, we heard somebody like
that wasn't me.
somebody later though, like you, or like a woman just running.
Might have been her.
I didn't run.
Yeah, it was like real fast footsteps, and it came from up here. It was right above us. So maybe you scared the shit out of the ghost, Mike.
I doubt it.
Okay, are we done with the tour and interview?
Yep, unless you guys want to go out to the garage.
Okay, yeah.
What's out there?
What's with the garage?
It's haunted too. I've got a couple antique cars out there and had a group here one night. This one lady, when she walked in, she says, I'm a psychic. And I thought, I believe in psychics about as much as I believe in the paranormal. So this is right when we were first getting involved in this. So we go out there, and I've got a 65 Ford Galaxy 500 XL convertible out there. And she walks up to that, and she's standing there looking at it, and then she puts her hands on it. She closes her eyes, and she starts swaying. I'm thinking, oh my God, she's going to pass out on me. And so she said,
Those are your phone vibrating.
Charles is not happy. I said, who the hell's Charles? Charles Kent. He was the owner of this car. He is not happy. Okay, what's he not happy with? Doesn't like the color. It's supposed to be white. Okay. I had no idea who, because I bought it off a guy over in Goshen, which is a town about 20 miles that way. So she turns around, I got a 39 Ford two-door in there. She turns around, she starts doing the same thing, got her hands on it, and she's closed her eyes, and she's weaving back and forth. And then she said, you know, this car has a very dark history. No. Where did you get it? And I said, I got it off an old guy, 92-year-old guy uptown. His daughter was moving him down to southern Kentucky where her and her husband had a horse farm, and she was not going to allow him to drag it down there, so I bought it. And she says, well, I know you can't see and I know they're not there, but I can see the bottles in the floorboard of the back seat, and I can see the bottles in the trunk. She said, this car was used to haul moonshine in Texas. And I don't know whether it was just a look on my face or what, but she said, is there something wrong? And I said, the guy I bought the car off of bought it from a guy, he worked for the guy, he bought it from a guy who worked for the federal government, and he traveled. And that guy bought that car in Plano, Texas.
Wow.
So then the next day, I called the guy I bought the car off of. And I said, where did you get that car? He said, well, supposedly I got it from the original owner. You remember what the guy's name was? He said, yeah, Charles Kent. I said, what color was the car when you bought it? He said, white.
Wow.
Because that lady said that Charles wasn't happy with the color.
Right.
And it's supposed to be white. Okay, maybe there is something to the psychic phenomenon. I don't know. So then a couple of weeks later, had some more people here. Another lady said she was a psychic. So I said, well, let's go out to the garage. See what you can get any readings on out there. So she's out there and she walks up to that convertible and she's rubbing on and looking at it. Reaches into the guy, grabs hold of the steering wheel. All of a sudden she jerked her hand back out. And I said, I don't know what's out there in that garage. Hell, there could be anything out there. I said, something just bite you? And she said, no. She said, Charles told me to get my hand off the steering wheel. Only he's allowed to touch the steering wheel. That's two people.
Do you believe that now?
Yeah, I believe it.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
That's strange.
See, we bought that car because we were going to take it. Our dream vacation is to drive Route 66 from Illinois to California and back. What better way to do it than a nice convertible?
Oh, wow.
So we bought that car for that. And the wife, she says, there ain't no way in hell I'm taking that car on a 3,000-mile trip.
Wow.
So,
That's strange. Okay, y'all want to go to the garage? Go right ahead.
you don't want to go to the garage?
Oh, do I have to?
We all just pretty much.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. We'll rock out there. We won't stay long. It's not very warm out there. I don't even know how warm it is outside.
On our way here, my car was saying about 49.
About what?
About 49 degrees.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 29.
Nope, 49.
see, that's how I got the sump pump run temporarily out here. There's an old well on the other side of the house. I'm going to run the sump pump into that well.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put a deep well pump in there and plumb it for all my outside spigots. So I use the well water to water the flowers and all that stuff instead of having to take sewer on. I don't think there's any critters in here.
Oh my, wow. Get that.
Yeah. This is a 1929 REO Speedwagon. You ever hear of the band REO Speedwagon?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the emblem on the front of this truck, and you think about the band's first album, that was on the emblem that they used behind them on
Can
the
I,
first
can
album.
I get up here?
Yeah.
If I can.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Now, just to clarify something, these are not bullet holes.
Oh.
It's when I had some lady, she says, "Oh my God, somebody
Check
shot
it
that
out."
car all up." And I said, "No, that's where the chrome trim was.
Yeah,
And when you pop that off, there's little holes.
where they lock.
And that's just
This is
the
cool.
perfect size hole for a wasp to get into
Yep.
and build a nest." So when I took the trim
Isn't
off,
it cool?
I put that
Wow.
over all the holes to keep the wasps out of it.
This one's the moonshine.
That is a 1926 Model T. That's a 25 Model T. And tell you a funny story about that one. My buddy Dana, his wife is using the other side of this building for a photo studio. And so they're up here one day, she's doing something in there, and he's over here, and he's got this little dog. Little dog's running all around.
That's old.
And he says, "Why don't you go sick the ghosts?" So whenever you say sick to the dog, it just starts running all around. So he's like, "Go sick the dog," or "Go sick the ghost, go sick the ghost." So the dog's running around in here, and he comes walking back here, and he gets right over here, and he says, "Looky here, one of the ghosts is in here. It's in here. Come get me." Dog comes running there. He turns that door open. There was a big cat sitting here on that seat, and that cat flew out and hit him in the chest.
Wow.
God gave him a heart attack.
With me too.
This car runs really good. My wife drives this one. I won't drive it. Then I about put it back into the garage, and I won't drive it anymore. Yeah, REO Speedwagon, the band, they used that emblem on their first album,
Yeah.
and they got sued by the family of Ransom E. Old. That's what REO stands for,
Yeah.
because that was a trademark.
Yeah. It was a
Yeah, you heard it. Yep, that was a registered trademark. Oh, what did you ask me?
Huh?
Did you ask me something?
Oh, no, I'll talk to her.
Oh.
I'll send the big
I like this.
I found this in a creek bottom in
Wow.
about 40 pieces.
What?
Well, were you magnet fishing or what?
No. This was originally owned by Fort Mitchell, Kentucky Fire Department.
Wow.
They bought it brand new in 1929. In 1947, after the war was over and they could start getting new trucks again, they bought a new fire truck and they traded this one in. And my fire department up here in Felicity, they bought it. This was their first motorized fire truck.
Oh, wow.
They bought it in 1947. They ran it until 1964, and then they bought a new truck. They put this one up for sale, and a local farmer out there, out the road, bought it. He had a pay fishing league, so he used the pump on it during the summertime to aerate the lake so the fish wouldn't die.
Yeah.
So, anyway, his thing broke or fell off or whatever, he just pitched him in the creek bottom. So, when he died, his son had an estate sale. They had a big auction or a big sale. So I go out there like everybody else, and walking around looking at all the junk they got, and I saw this thing sitting down in that creek bottom. And I asked the boy, I said, what are you going to do with that? He said, oh man, he said, as soon as we get done with the sale, what doesn't sell, I'm going to haul a scrapyard. And he said, that's going with it. I said, well, what do you want for it? He said, if you want it, you haul it out of here, you can have it. So, me and my buddy Jimmy down the street, we went and we drug that thing home. And I spent 6 years on this thing rebuilding this truck.
You did a good job on that.
And it was down to bare nothing. I mean, I took everything apart on it. I spent, the engine on this thing, it was all locked. And so I had to get it freed up. And I needed rings for it. I couldn't get rings for the pistons. So I could get some close, but they wouldn't fit in the grooves.
Yeah.
So I had to, I don't know how many nights I sat at the kitchen table with a piece of glass and an emery cloth, with oil on that emery cloth, hand grinding those rings to where they would fit on it, those pistons. But that thing runs like a champ. We take it up to Henry Ford. I got a couple of them down at our house. We take up, this one will fit in the garage down at the house. It's too tall.
You got some old cars in here though.
Yeah, we've got what, 6, 2, 4, 5, we got 5 in here, and I've got 4 down at the house.
Oh wow.
And, but we go up to Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. You ever been up there?
What is it?
Henry Ford Museum?
Never heard of it.
You never, really?
No.
It is.
Oh, wow. The Henry,
Burned down a couple of years back.
no.
Maybe there was some sort of dealership
Yeah.
museum that burned down.
I forget what the yacht, but no, it wasn't a Ford Museum. There's the museum and then there's the Greenfield Village, which Henry Ford in 1926 built the Greenfield Village. And it's known as history's greatest attraction. And in 1926, he built this. Now, it sits on 180 acres, and there's 85 or 86 historic buildings that the Ford Foundation went and bought. They tore down and moved there and reconstructed. And they've got streets and, you know, you walk through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he built that in 1926 because, and this was 1926, Henry Ford said that he built that because he did not feel the schools were teaching our history and our heritage would be lost.
Hmm.
So that's what that place is all about. And in the spring, well, in the summer, early summer, they have what they call a motor muster, and that is cars from the cars and trucks 1933 to 1970. People could bring there and display for the weekend.
Yeah.
In September, they have the Old Car Festival, and that is 1932 and prior.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a couple Model A Fords that we take up there, and we take this. I've got a 45-foot car trailer that we load everything up on.
Oh wow.
And we take them up there for the weekend. This thing's always a big hit. It's a picture magnet. And the thing about it is, all these people up there, oh, don't touch, they got signs all over their antique, don't touch, blah, blah, blah. We let the kids get on this. We put the kids up there, take their pictures and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They're not going to tear anything up. If they do, it can be fixed.
Yeah.
You know. So, but over here on this side, it's a real mess because Anita's been moving stuff in over here. Dana and Anita, they're some friends of mine. I've let her use this side over here as a photo lab. But she started setting it up, and then they both got COVID.
Oh, okay.
And he just got out. He was in the hospital for 3.5 months. He just got out 2 weeks ago. So she hadn't done anything. This was originally, this building was so big because this was the funeral home office here.
Okay.
And then he had that side over there that they would keep the hearse and whatever else in. And then they also had a wood shop. Because back in those days, the caskets were all wood.
Yeah.
The funeral director, they made their own caskets. They weren't steel like they are today. So, all this stuff is her props and stuff. But this, Dan and Tammy Henning, when they rented the house, they're the ones that rented it for about 20 years. Dan's the one that died upstairs. He did recordings. And this is where the bands would play, in here.
Okay.
And that was the control room over there. And then Tammy, she was a minister, but she also did graphics work, and she made the album covers, you know, and all that. They did all that here. They printed the CDs, they made, or burned them, I guess, the CDs, and she printed they had the little jewel cases that they put the things in, and she would make the inserts and all that. So they had a really good business. Back when they lived here, you know, in the middle of the night, I'd get fire runs, and I'd go uptown, go past here, and there'd be big tour buses parked out front. And the bands would be in here playing. And these two rooms are so well insulated that they could be in here playing, and you can't hear them outside. Like I said, they would play all night long in here. And so they would play in here, and this in here was where he had his control room, and all the recording equipment was in here.
Any notable bands that you remember? No.
And then back there is just a bunch of junk. I've got all our Christmas crap back there that we decorate up here. Because this place is decorated. This is our Christmas town here. There's 3 of these boards, and we've got like close to 100 of the ceramic village buildings, you know, and stuff.
Yeah.
That train goes around and all that. So my goal for this summer is, if I reach it, is this front wall over here. We're going to tear that front wall out. We're going to brace the roof up and take that front wall out. I'm going to put 5 garage doors facing that street.
Okay.
And I'm going to then hopefully get it done so next Christmas we can set that town up out here, and I'm going to get some Lexan or something so we can leave the door open, people can see it and stuff. So, I did, a couple years we set it up in that side room, but I haven't done it the past 2 years. Well, 2 years ago, 2020, the Christmas 2020, I was in the hospital and she was sick with COVID, and then 2021, this past year, we were so busy that we didn't put it up. So hopefully I can get this all done this summer, get this garage completely redone. That's the plans, but we gotta get the bed and breakfast open first.
Is that the attic up there, Mike?
That's the bathroom right there.
Oh, okay, where's the attic at?
It's up above that.
Oh, okay, yeah, 'cause there ain't no window there, so.
Not on this side. This side and the other side doesn't have a window. The back has got a window and the front's got a window.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this house don't look that bad, though. I mean, it needs to be, once you're done with it, it'll be better.
Yeah, well, we've got plans that we're gonna connect this front porch to this back porch. A wraparound porch here. Yeah, we're gonna tear that front porch off. I doubt if I get that done this summer.
You know, if I was you, I'd make it out of bed and breakfast, kind of bed and breakfast.
Well, that's what it's gonna be.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're shooting for September as an opening. So.
That'd be an awesome idea.
Yeah, well, if I get the rest of the drywall up, I've already got all the finished flooring. I got all the finished trim.
So you're just gonna keep the 3 bedrooms up there for the bed and breakfast? Okay.
Yep.
You gonna let them know that's haunted?
Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna be a haunted bed and breakfast.
Some people don't, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not really catering to just the general public.
Right.
I'm not going to list it with Airbnb or anything like that.
Right.
It's going to be through
Right.
UGPN, and
Okay, I got you.
Austin will take care of all the rentals. I just let him handle everything.
Austin, yeah.
I let him handle everything because I just don't. I don't want to get involved in the rental part. You know what I mean? As far as having to answer the phone and set all that stuff. Yeah, it's easier for him. Well, I mean, I still work, and
He's a lot younger than you, or?
well, he is a lot younger than me, but I still work, and it's hard for me to get phone calls during the day. I work for a company that builds fire trucks,
Oh yeah?
and
You're always busy pretty much.
yeah, we're real busy. We're an OEM manufacturer of fire trucks, and I do all the pump designing and all the plumbing.
Oh yeah?
So,
But if you can't do it, then if you can't come out here and do the tour and interview, then who does?
Jimmy, my buddy Jimmy down
Oh,
the street.
okay. Usually he does, right?
Yeah.
You don't have okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I get home from work every night about 5 o'clock, so that's not a big deal for me to come up here after work. But if I'm going to be out of town or not going to be around, then I'll just tell Jimmy and he'll come up, and
All right.
he's got a bigger line of crap than I got. So.
Are we done with the interview?
I thought we was done a long time ago.
Oh, well, close that. My bad.